Stearns.
And I'm Glenn Stearns.
And this is Grit Happens. Join us as we engage in candid conversations with some of the most successful people in every field and from every walk of life, all with the common thread of grit and a goal of not just surviving, but thriving.
And we hope that the show will help you feel informed, energized, and especially inspired.
So let's get started. This is Grit Happens.
God did not put me on this earth to sit aside. And every day that I wake up, I say I want to be one of the fastest men in the world. And I have no legs. Set your own goals. Rise to the occasion. And fight for your dreams, man. That's what I want to stand for. That's who I want to be. When you have excuses, that means you're pointing fingers, right? It's their fault, or it's his fault. Or you're losing your power. So at the end of the day, I'm thankful that I was born without legs.
Here we're back at Grit Happens.
That's right.
And we are in studio today talking to a very exciting guest, someone who's lived through some grit and has made a positive impact with it in his life. I'm very excited to meet our guest today.
I am too. You know, we don't get every day where we get to meet an Olympian. So.
Not every day we get to talk to the fastest man in the world, or one of the fastest men in the world. Right. You know, who doesn't have legs by all means, which is such an incredible story.
All right, well, let's get there.
Okay, well, we'll just get right off, and we're going to start and bring on one of my most favorite people, Blake Leeper. Blake, welcome to Grit Happens.
Hello, everybody. How's it going? Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited for this.
Oh, we are honored to meet you. We are honored that we've been able to get to know you a little bit, and we're going to be spending some more time with you. And you know, we're
having a great little leadership gathering out on Necker Island, and Blake's going to spend some time with us out there. So just getting to know you, Blake, and hearing your story. It's just crazy about, how life is really about a mindset, and so I think for the people that listen to our podcast, that's really what we speak about, is that you can overcome anything when you really put your mind to it. And so
just to back up, I watched a TED Talk recently about grit, and it was saying that the most successful people in life, the thing they all had in common was an element of grit, some struggle, some rough time in life. And that really is the building of a champion, of a successful warrior, or a business, or, and a lot of our kids don't have a lot of grit these days. But you, if you could walk us back to your life story, start from the beginning and tell us about the grit you dealt with growing up and how you are where you are now.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I'm a true believer that your adversity is your advantage. Is like the struggles that you go through in life really get to show yourself and to the world how strong you truly can be. But when you go back to my story and the day that I was born, you have to understand the day that I was born, the doctors told my parents and basically told me that I would never walk a day in my life. Born with congenital birth defect, fibrillar hemophilia. They rushed me into the ICU and came back and had that conversation. Mr. and Mrs. Leeper, I'm sorry, but your baby boy Blake is never going to walk a day in his life. He's born missing both of his legs.
Just wow. Have your parents talked to you about that day?
Yeah, I go over it with them. When they tell me this exact day story. I'm a father myself. I have a 3-year-old daughter, and I remember the day my daughter was born. I didn't care if she was, a girl or a boy or whatever. I just wanted a happy baby, healthy baby. And I think about my parents. They didn't get that wish of having a healthy baby. And I asked them, what'd you say? What did you say when the doctor told you that I was never going to walk? Mom, who'd you cuss out? I know you didn't take that information.
Right.
Who'd you hit? But they I asked the same question over and over and over again. And they gave me the same answer over and over and over again. They said, yes, the day that I was born, they was nervous, they was scared. They had me in ICU. But the second they brought me back into the room, they didn't care the fact that I was missing both of my legs. The only thing they cared about was the beauty inside of me. And in that moment, they decided to do two things. The first thing, stick together as a family, as a unit, through the good and the bad and the ugly. And the second thing is to keep a positive attitude towards the whole situation. And I'm a
Yeah.
true believer, like, that power of positivity is what saved my life.
So I've got a question for you. So now you're growing up, right? You're 1, 2, 3, 4. You don't probably realize that there is any disadvantage or disability when you're very young, right? And so when does it start to hit you? You know what? Like, this didn't seem fair, or did you go through any of that, or did you just kind of grow up through it? And
Yeah, as a child, I felt normal as possible. Yes, I had my prosthetic legs, but it wasn't. I remember I was at a very young age, about 5 years old. I was playing t-ball, and I was hit. I wanted to hit a home run, miniature baseball, and I hit the ball one day as far as I can in a baseball game, and I started running around the bases. And as I'm running around the bases, my leg falls off
oh,
mid run. Yeah, mid run. I get tagged out. And I always joke and say, who would tag another kid out missing his legs? I know, but this was a serious league. But I can remember at such a young age, as my leg was off, inning was over, I was tagged out. I was questioning life, like, why am I going through this? Like, why me? Like, why do I have to go through this? Everybody at the fields at this sporting event have their legs. My mother has her legs. My brother's completely fine. And me, I'm the one that has to go through this. But as I got older and more trials and tribulations that I went through in my life, I realized I was looking for fault. I wanted to blame somebody or something,
right.
saying like, it's her fault, it's her fault. But the reality of it is, it was just life that
Yeah.
I fell in that moment. It was just life that I was born without legs. And I had to take responsibility. So I had to flip it and to reverse it. Instead of saying, why me, I challenge it. And I say, well, why not me? I'm meant for this. Why not me? I'm strong enough for this.
That's
Why
right.
not smart enough for this?
I remember you said the biggest disability people have is a bad attitude, right? I mean, because that's what it is. We're talking again about our minds and growing up. I can remember growing up, not such a great neighborhood, not such great role models as family, and you look back because we support a group called Horatio Alger, and it's about kids that have been through severe adversity, and in their case, they use education as their way out, right? And just exactly the same mindset you have, and so when you sit there and you see people that have made an excuse and as their reason why they can't move forward, and you go and you look at other people and go, well, what about them? What about them? It's such a great breath of fresh air, and to be inspired by others that say, I'm not using anything as my excuse. I'm going to keep pushing through. Actually, I'm going to use adversity as something to help propel me in life, as you said earlier as well. That's the kind of people that are the winners in the world, the ones that, because it's so, your minds are so strong to either be able to overcome these things or to give us a reason why we sit there and can't succeed. So
Blake, do you remember the moment that you changed it from why not to why not me, or why me to why not me? Do you attribute it to the positivity of your parents? Was it a moment that you just reached your low and you just said, I have nowhere to go but up? Like, is that clear? Is that a clear transition
Yeah.
in your?
Honestly, I think it's multiple transitions throughout your life where you have to constantly show up, where you're kind of like you was talking, Glenn, where you get tested, right? You go through life, you have your ups, you have your downs, but those moments of being tested, and because of my disability, I had multiple moments throughout my life where I was being tested, and I had to ask myself, I'm going to let this make me, or I'm going to let this break me? And choosing, the latter, say, I'm going to let this make me. I'm the special one. This is happening, for me and not just to me. Because like you said earlier, like, we all deal with a lot of adversities. Like, nobody goes through this life without challenges, but it's like
yeah,
what you do with those challenges, moving forward. So, I think about the time where, I went to my first school dance, and I wore shorts, and you could see my prosthetic legs. And I had this new jersey that I wanted everybody to see. So I wore this jersey with the shorts, and I walk into the dance, and everybody's staring at me at this, middle school dance, but they're not staring at my jersey that I was hoping they would stare at. They were staring at my legs. And I got laughed at. I got pointed at. I got people was talking about me. And I went home that night, and I cried. Like I cried so hard because I knew that I was different. But as hard as that moment was, I had to look at myself in the mirror and accept my flaws and all, and make the decision, like, this is who I am. It's not going to change. So I need to lean into this and accept this and embrace this and be proud of who moving forward and let the light shine where I need to go.
Yep.
That's hard for people.
It's hard.
It's very
but
hard.
You know what?
Is
Blake's point, it's not, life isn't fair. And so to sit back and, when you look through your life and you're where you are and you're proud of where you are, they're built on moments like that, where you ended up being able to turn and make the right choice or make the right decision. When I was 14 years old, and everyone was laughing at me. I had a child. I'm in 8th grade, and people are writing on the desk, baby maker. And the kids are saying, my mom and dad won't let me play with you anymore, or I can't see you anymore. And they hurt, right? These things and yet I look and I go, wow, am I so proud? As I think, not proud, but I'm glad. And I'm sure you are grateful that you're able to, and we tell these young kids in Horatio Alger that, all of those lessons and all of that pain builds this armor on you now that you can get through so much more than other people that have had it perfect in their lives. They're actually at a disadvantage because when they run into adversity, they don't know what to do. They don't know how to react. And you're going, your plane was canceled and now you're sitting in your, that's your problem, right? Like, please,
Yes.
It's interesting, and it's,
I find that people's adversity and how they respond to it is obviously relative to each person's situation too. And I think when you're going through things, this is not, and I tell me if you agree with me. This is not a call to say, buck up and move on and pick yourself up. It's not a call to say, don't feel the pain of what you're going through, because I think there is something cathartic and being in that moment, being like, man, this freaking sucks.
Yeah.
And you just feel it. But if you can't stay there. Like, it's okay to feel the real feelings of defeat and adversity and failure or whatever it is, or pain or loss. But I think that the key is to not stay there. Would you agree?
Yes, no, I agree totally. It's just that identifying, saying, like, this is what it is. Like, this is terrible. I can remember every morning, my mother would walk into my room and, the first thing she would say is, Blake, you have a disability. Like, we have to acknowledge this. Like, this is tough. Like, you're born missing both of your legs. But as soon as she would say that, she would follow up with, but you have 1,000 other abilities that make you a person. You have 1,000 other abilities that allow you to wake up, put your legs on, and keep moving, not stay stagnant in this situation. Because if we get caught up, one of my favorite quotes is, life is 10% of what you're dealt with and 90% on how you deal with it. And so you look at my life, the fact that I was born without legs, we identify that 10%. We identify the adversity. We identify the challenges, but we only give it 10% of the weight. And then we focus on 90% of whatever else we can contribute to society. We can contribute to our community, to our lives, to other lives, to wake up each and every day, focus on that 90, identify that 10, but give power to the 90 and give love and support where we can be.
Yeah. I think people are too often stuck in the past. They're stuck in what could be, and they don't understand that why put any weight on things you can't change? It won't make a difference. So we got to put weight on what we can change, what we can do, what we can accomplish. And, you're a great, wonderful
example of
that. And, so here you are, you've got this adversity, and now you end up deciding, I'm gonna, see what I can do. So you get into sports, you get into t-ball, you get into running, and then what starts happening? When do you start building this confidence?
When do you become the runner? Like, when does that happen?
Yeah, it's like born without legs. Doctors tell my parents, tell me I never would walk. And here I am, it was about when I was about 17, 18 years old. I make the decision that I want to run. I want to be a professional runner. I never ran a day in my life. I played basketball and baseball. So I played sports and was very active. But to say I wanted to be a competitive runner was a little far-fetched.
Yeah.
To where, and it's crazy. I'm sure you guys can attest to this too as well. On my journey to becoming a runner, it was a lot of emails. It was a lot of, because this was about 10, 15 years ago. So it was a lot of emails. It was a lot of phone calls, a lot of, messaging, MySpacing. And I heard a lot of no's. Because the running legs that I run on are extremely expensive, and insurance do not cover them. They're considered a luxury, not a necessity. So I was, emailing nonprofits. I was emailing into, coaches. I heard a lot of no's, and a lot of no's. But I heard finally one yes. And I'm sure you guys know, as you keep knocking on the door, you're going to hear a lot of no's. But one yes in your life can change your life for forever. And I heard that yes. I found a nonprofit organization out of San Diego who funded my first pair of running legs. And I got those in like 2009. And by my first race, going into my second race, I made the national Paralympic team, and I was racing in Brazil, Rio de Janeiro.
Wow.
With 3 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of credit to that organization that did say yes. They must have believed in you enough. I mean, how wonderful to get that yes.
It's just the beginning of a conversation, dear.
One of Glenn's quotes, no is just the beginning of a conversation. Right. So
yes. And that goes to attest to, like, with the problem solver, when we go back earlier about how my adversity is my advantage. The things I've been through in my life taught me and showed me that you try one thing, and if it doesn't work out, you don't give up. You don't quit. You just go a different direction and try to seek it in a different way. And you continue to fight, and you continue to show up, and eventually it will come to pass, and it will come for you.
Yep. Couldn't agree more. And again, when I look at certain people, and there's a great little story, right, about these two boys, and a dad puts them both in a room. One is in a room with all these great Christmas toys, and he goes in the room, and the kid is saying, this toy stinks, and this isn't big enough, and this isn't, I wanted the blue one, not the red one, right? And he puts the other kid in a room full of horse manure, and he walks back in the room, and the kid is digging, and that says, what are you doing? And he says, under all this crap, there's got to be a pony somewhere, right? And so it's all about your attitude, right? It's like, sometimes you've got it all and you don't even know it. And other times you deal with, what little you have, and you end up making something great out of it. And so when I think about these kids in Horatio Alger, there's so many millions of examples of these kids that we were sitting talking to one, and he says he's with his dad, they're having lunch, everything is going great, and all of a sudden he gets this ringing in his ear really loud, and he doesn't know what's going on because the world's kind of going in slow motion. And he looks down, and his dad has been gunned down, shot.
Oh,
and it passes away right in front of him. And he says, I'm just so grateful none of the bullets hit me. Right? Like his mind turns to, hey, and people, and he's become a very great leader, and a very big, he just has gone off and stayed positive, you know what I mean? And other people just don't have that. I don't know if it's a gift or an ability to change, because while we talk about this, the idea is hopefully other people would go, maybe I don't have it so bad, and maybe I ought to focus on the things I do have working in my life, not the things that aren't.
You're such an inspiration, Blake, to so many people. And, really, in the face of your own story, it does make one pause, stop and say, wow, what's my excuse? I think situations like you do inspire people to stop and think and reflect and consider their own circumstances. Who in your life, who inspires you? Who is the inspiration in your life?
Yeah, I had a few inspirations, just like my grandfather, growing up. But one that major stuck out to me. I don't know if you guys remember Bo Jackson. He
Yeah.
was a football player.
Bo knows. Bo
Yeah,
knows.
Bo knows exactly. And had he was a football and baseball player, but had the hip injury. And during the time of his hip injury, I was about 5, 6 years old. Watching this story of this man being one of the greatest. Getting in a bad hip injury, but using a prosthetic hip to get back into the sports and to get back into the game. And I remember I had his highlight tape of his rehab on VHS, and I would fast forward it to the point where he would actually get injured and he had the surgery. And it just goes to show the power of representation of just seeing somebody, even though he had a prosthetic hip and I had a prosthetic leg, I just heard the word prosthetic as a kid. And I was like, if he can do it, if Bo can do it, I can do it. I can do it too as well. Bo knows, then I can know too as well. And that was such great motivation for me to show up to the baseball fields or to the basketball.
I love it.
Develop my skills to say maybe. And it was just that, and you guys know it. I just needed that little ounce of hope. I didn't need much. I didn't, you know what I mean? I didn't need a parade. I just needed just a little ounce of hope, knowing that it can be done, or it is possible. So it's like that's my.
So
Bo knows and Leeper leaps. That's
Leeper leaps. So tell some of the people out there maybe that don't know your story as far as what you've done with the running, because I think that's amazing.
Yeah, well, your first national champ, you said you got your prosthetics and you won, and then you're like, wow, I'm actually was that a confidence switch? Wow, I'm actually pretty good. I'm gonna keep going. Is that what happened?
I was going. Yeah, I got the taste of a little quick success and just traveling the world. And I love traveling the world, just and the ample possibilities of just going all different places. And it just shot up from there. I moved to San Diego. I trained at the Olympic Training Center. I took a silver and a bronze at the Paralympic Games in 2012. I come back and in 2013 and break the world record in the 4x100 meter relay and take three more medals, 3 silvers. In 2017, I break the 400 meter world record, and in 2019, I break it again and run the first amputee ever to run under 45 seconds. And I was ranked 6th in the world against able-bodied athletes. That's against runners with or without legs. I was the fastest runners in the world, and I qualified for the Tokyo 2021 Olympic Games.
And we're working on France 2024. Is that the next goal ahead?
That's the goal. Paris, France 2024. I'm super excited, to be competing at the Paralympic Games. I took a silver this year at the Paralympic World Championships in Paris in the 400 meters. And I'm thankful. I'm grateful for the opportunities and my silver medal. But as you guys know, we don't do this to be the world. We go. We make grit happen, right? And
grit happen.
You get the goal. We fight.
By any chance, you Nike helping you along in this journey? Just a little question. Just wondering. I don't know. It came to my head.
Yeah. I'm a sponsor. I am a sponsored Nike athlete, which is pretty cool. I've been with them for a few years. I got hopefully leading into the Paris 2024. I got a couple other endorsements on the line right now that hopefully I would lock in. And it's just pretty cool to say, me as a disabled man, how far we've come with inclusivity and inclusion. Yes. Where we're having these conversations where we want an able-bodied athlete with 2 legs, and we also want an athlete missing both of his legs, or an athlete in a wheelchair or with cerebral palsy. And we have a lot more to go, but we've come so far in this society.
And I think You're so right on that. And it's so important, I think, for us to recognize how far we have come and to acknowledge the victories and not just focus on how far we still have to go. No, we still got to work on it.
Yeah.
But there is great victory in the advancements we've made and the attitudes that are shifting, I think.
Yeah. I think you have, you know, again, it's very evident, you know, you've got this positive attitude and, you know, do you think that's nature or nurture? I've been asked this myself a lot, so I wonder your feelings.
Yeah, that's funny you say that, because my coach, we have that conversation at the beginning of the year with nature and nurture. And that comes with like building our season, for this protective season to try to be the best in the world. And we both came to an agreement that it's both. It's nature and nurture. Like you have to surround yourself with the right environment, with the right people, but also provide yourself, with the right things. And the beautiful part, and this is why I say my adversity is my advantage. Because I was born without legs, I understood at a very early age that life isn't easy. Like if I wake up every day and just let things come to me, hoping that I would have a good day, then I'm probably going to end up having a bad day because I'm born missing both of my legs and I'm an double leg amputee. But with me knowing that, I fight for it. I make sure that I'm listening to the right things, podcasts like this. I'm reading the right things. I'm talking, surrounding myself with the right things and the right people. I'm putting the right things in my body. Like I intentionally fight for my happiness and my motivation and my inspiration. So I know I'm one step ahead of the game with my disability, because I have to be, because if not, it would destroy me.
You said one word and it's so true, intentional, right? And you have so many people that we talk to and they just said, you know what, I just don't have the luck you have. And I'm not able to do it because I've had a gray cloud or I've done, and you're like, no, you have to have an intentional mindset. You have to surround yourself with the balcony people, not the basement people. You have to be able to go out into the world and know that even when you're having a bad day, that you have to train your mind to say, you know what, I am grateful for where I am. I'm great. You have to convince yourself sometimes, because it's not easy. It's not always, I've had people say that to me, like, you're always in a good mood, right? And I'm like, sometimes it isn't.
No, he's not.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen it.
Exactly. Sometimes it's very difficult to, put one foot in front of the other, or in your case, one prosthetic leg in front of the other, and sit there and figure out how you're going to get through the day. And you do it and you keep doing it. And when you do it, it becomes a habit that you realize is very, important, because other people, they get that energy off of you, whether it's, the positive energy, or that you've got these gray clouds. And I always, we talk about, these quote gray clouds, and you know what it is? It's really about sowing seeds. Whether if you're planting the right seeds, then eventually in your life, you can call it
gray clouds bring rain. Rain makes things grow. So I
no,
say that.
no, but I'm saying when you plant the wrong seeds, when you cut corners,
True.
when you are not good to people, then you're gonna, they say, he's unlucky. He's not unlucky. His whole life was built on a shaky foundation.
Yeah.
When you are strong, good, it's sincere, honest, when you do the right things, then people are going to help you. If you're a bad guy, guess what? You're not going to have endorsements. You're not going to be able to get to your races. They're not going to be there for you. When you're a good person, people want to see you win. They want to celebrate you. They want to be around you, and that's the big difference, I think.
So there's a book called Atomic Habits. I don't know if you've read that,
Yes, I started that. Yes.
I just started it recently. It's got some that guy, wow, what a story there. But you talk about these habits, and it's a mindset to believe you are in a certain mindset of being, not, well, I'm going to try to lose weight. No, I am a healthy person. Like changing that dialogue is so important. And what would you say to maybe a child who feels like they're in an impossible situation, a young person who just can't get out of the environment they're in, their parents are not supportive? What would you tell a child to do? Would you give them a book to read? What's on your book list, and what would you say to a child like that? A young teenager, maybe.
Yeah, I love it. Atomic Habits. Books like that just really just talk about the mindset and what it really takes to change things in your life. But my advice, like kind of what you're talking about, the power of speaking greatness into your life. I would start there. Writing things out first. Obviously, write your gratitude list. I think that's extremely important. Write all the things that you're thankful for, and then after that, write all the things that you're going to get done throughout the year, throughout the week, because the power, speaking greatness into your life with conviction, once it's out there, you speak it out there, it's out there, and people can, they can talk about it, they can disagree with you, they can even
Right.
laugh at you. How many people laugh at me because I was born without legs and I said I want to be one of the fastest men in the world? They're like, Blake, you have no legs, but I speak it with conviction, and by speaking it out there into the universe, you slowly start conforming to that. Like you still slowly start becoming that. Like, and one thing they cannot do is take it away. So, my advice would be, whatever situation that you're in this moment, identify it, acknowledge it, but speak greatness into your life, and start speaking greatness into your situations when you're walking into these rooms, when you're walking in about to take a test, or you're walking into a competition, whatever it may be, and watch what happens in your life by speaking light into your situation and speaking, but
Ooh,
not happiness. And
I
and,
just
and
got
just
all chilly. I got all goosebumpy. That's all. I love
You know,
that.
we
Speaking light
we've spoken so much about this, which is the power of
mindset,
of speaking your dreams and
manifesting.
manifesting, and you hit it, because a lot of people think that's a little embarrassing. I can't go out there and say it because people are gonna laugh at me or whatever. But when you start to really say it with
With conviction.
conviction, then you believe it. And other people start going, you know what? He might just do that, And you look at, we just watched that show on Arnold Schwarzenegger, and you look at that man. He wanted to be the greatest bodybuilder. Then he wanted to be the greatest actor. Then he wanted to be a politician. Then he believed it. And he went out there and he said it. And, a lot of people went, you don't know how to be a politician.
You're never gonna be an actor. You can't even speak English.
Right.
Right. It's that embarrassment. Like you feel embarrassed by speaking your dream out into the universe for people to judge you, laugh at you, don't believe you, disagree with you. I'm sure that's the hardest. It's something that you truly believe in. You're like, I'm going to do this, and they're like, no, you're not.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. But you still got to show up.
When I was a kid, I was not, by the way, I have a book out. Okay. It's called
In case you didn't know, grit. Here it's in red.
Yeah.
Grit is in the center of it because I think grit is in the center of any great story.
And yes, Wall Street Journal bestseller. Thank
Yes,
you very much
okay.
for all you that bought it out there. Thank you.
Good job, honey.
And but
I would have done it without you.
I was young. And again, while maybe I wasn't allowed to do this, it's a couple things. One time,
oh no, is this the book?
one time I might have jumped up into Lincoln's lap, and as a kid after a
in
late
DC
bar,
at the Grand Mall.
Now I sat up there and I looked out over the Washington DC, right, and just my mind was rolling about just Lincoln and about leadership and about our everything, and it was so wild. It was like 2:00 in the morning, but I just sat there, right? So my buddy pushed me up. Long story, but anyway, another time there was a building in our city, and it was called the GBS building, and it was the tallest building in Rockville. And my buddy and I,
those happen to be his initials, by the way.
Glenn
GBS.
Brian Stearns, GBS. So we climbed the top of that building. We got on the roof, and we went over the building and stood on top of the letters GBS. And I would say, one day I'm going to have a building with my name on it, and I would say that. And
he did.
And I'd always go by and go, you watch, and it's just those little things. I mean, they're crazy, stupid, but they're not, because it gives it in your head to say, I'm going to do it. And then you start believing you can do it,
Yeah, it works. It completely works. Like I don't wake up every morning and say, well, I hope that I'll walk today. I wish I can walk today. I have to wake up with convictions that I'm going to walk today. I'm going to run today. I'm going to figure it out today. I'm going to become the fastest man in the world. Maybe, maybe not today, but eventually one day you keep, and then by saying that, you start figuring out, you slowly start conforming to it.
Yep.
A cup of hope does not quench the dream. It's got to be a lot more in there. So tell us a little bit about, you've got your life you've put out in a documentary. So the story of Blake Leeper will be told in a beautiful format. Tell us a little bit about that and how that is formatted and what we're going to learn.
It's amazing. It kind of goes over, some of the things we talked about today. Just, me as a childhood, me being born without legs, making the decision I want to become a runner. And then I start running competitively, start breaking world records. And then I get fast enough to qualify for the Olympic Games. And then once I qualified, breaking the world record, going in, fifth in the nation, sixth in the world, that's when I started getting sanctions from the Olympic Committee because of my running legs. Because, of course, I'm running on prosthetic devices, carbon fiber devices.
Sanctions?
Yeah, I was getting sanctioned on my prosthetic limbs. And they was deemed unfair. So here we are. I fought my whole life. I get to the highest level, and then they say I have an unfair advantage. And I think, and it just really highlights how it's interesting that I'm deemed a disabled man until I was too fast or too good.
And suddenly you're a threat. You're a threat now. Now you've gone beyond what they ever expected of you, and that scares people.
Exactly. So what happens when you exceed everybody's expectations in your life? And then once you exceed everybody's expectations, you switch from being a sympathy story, or we feel bad for you, to, oh, wait, you now can take my spot or my idea or my identity or who I want to be because how good that you are. And that's when it became a problem. And they come to find out that the ruling was, they said I was too tall in my running legs. And so I had to drop my running legs by 6 inches to qualify for the Olympic Games and
Paralympics. You did it anyway.
And I did it anyway. And so I did it anyway.
So that's so in your documentary, we're going to be able to just learn about your life, learn about your grit, learn about what it takes to have the mindset, the positive mindset, I imagine. That
Yes. And it kind of follows my journey of the lifestyle and the things that I was doing leading up to the moments when I was breaking the world record, when I was running 44 seconds.
Oh, can't wait to see that.
My moments with my chiropractor, with my coaches, my workouts and my training. I remember there was one scene, was a workout we was training on New Year's morning. And it was like typically, earlier in my career on New Year's night, are you kidding me? I'm out partying, staying up to like 1 a.m. But like fast forward to this part of my career, understanding how important this moment truly is, and knowing that if I have a chance of being the best in the world, on New Year's night or New Year's Eve, I'm in bed by, 10 p.m.
Yeah.
6, 7 a.m. training with my teammates, with my partners, trying to be the fastest man in the world.
Wow. You have such an incredible story. And I think that's an important note to highlight, because I think a lot of people, what they'll find is when they start having a little bit of success and they get out of their old habits and they get into a new growth mindset, and there will be those people around that'll try to drag you. Those are the basement people that will try to drag you back down because they're threatened by your success. And that's real. That's a real thing that happens. So
but I'll tell you, that's the highest, to me, the highest form of compliment, because it's when you're getting people taking shots at you, it means you've done something right.
Yeah. You push your buttons.
Exactly.
We've set in our mortgage business, and we did it. We got to number 1, blew the ceiling off, sold, left, came back, and now we're this little company, and all the big guys are pummeling us, and we're like, why are you going after us when we've just started again? But they know what we've done. We start building that team back up, and everybody said, it's not fair. It's not fair, Glenn. I said, this is the greatest compliment we could ever get. Are you kidding me? So you can look at it that way, or you can sit there in the world of not fair, right? It doesn't matter.
It's going to happen anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's so funny. I was sitting in my court cases, and they're, breaking down my races and my times and my splits. And I'm sitting here just like, wow, like you guys said, like I obviously at first is this moment of like, being upset and being frustrated. Like, I can't, like, why are we here? I don't have the unfair advantage. But then there was an aha moment, like, wow, like I ran so fast that the Olympics think I'm cheating. Like they think that it's like something going on. You have to understand the technology has been around for almost over 20, 30 years. Like the blades have been around for years and years and years. And I'm the only double leg amputee that's ran these times. That's ran under 5
They
seconds.
just hadn't met you
It's
yet.
like
They hadn't
you
met
and
you
Wilt Chamberlain, you know, they come up, we got to raise the basket,
baskets.
right? And it's like,
gotta
that's a
raise it.
compliment, right? Yeah.
It
So
is.
good for you. Good for you, my
Blake,
friend.
it is such a pleasure to sit down and talk with you. We look forward to spending some time with you on Necker Island, and we're excited for that. For those that want to find you or follow you, will you give people where they can go to follow your journey and the documentary and where it's going to be and when we can see it?
Yeah, you can follow my journey. I'll be having updates on my Instagram, and it's at Leepster, LEEPSTER. I have BlakeLeeper.run. My website will be having updates as well, and just my YouTube. I'll be dropping little snippets. And we're going around the tour right now of film festivals. So we did the Seattle Film Festival. We did Dancing with Wolves here in Hollywood. We have a few more in Vermont. And just trying to put it out there just throughout the theaters to see what type of attraction and what type of feedback that we'll be getting to move it forward with the film. So I'm super excited just to be able to share my life story, and I'm hoping like not only just with the film but just with everything, like moments like this, to just sharing the podcast with you guys. Just like hopefully people get inspired by just hearing me and just understanding that that I was told no, and I was able to overcome that. So if I can do that, imagine what you can do with your life.
I love that. That's a great note to end this. It's been fabulous. The film is called Abled. We'll be looking for it. We'll be following you. We'll be watching your journey and cheering you on all the way, Blake. Thank you for sitting down with us and going over your life story and sharing your magic and your light with us. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Yep. Looking forward to spending time with you.
I'm
all right.
Super
That's
excited.
been another episode. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off there.
Great happens. Great happens. I love it.
All right.
It is. Grit happens every day, and we all overcome it in our different ways. So, Blake Leeper, thank you.
Thank you.
You've been listening to another episode of which you can follow all over social media and YouTube. Grit happens.
I am put on this earth for a reason. God put me on this earth for a reason. So whatever I go through for that reason, that means that I'm going through that for a purpose. So for me to walk into my calling, then I have to embrace and accept and try not to fear anything.
Let me tell you something. If tomorrow wasn't promised, what would you give for today? Forget everything else. Forget that there was any sunlight left. What would you spend today thinking about? We get one opportunity in life, one chance in life to do whatever you're gonna do, to lay your foundation and to make whatever mark you're gonna make. And it's found through effort. Wins and losses come a dime a dozen. But effort, nobody can judge effort. Because effort is between you and you. Effort ain't got nothing to do with nobody else. Whatever legacy you gonna leave your legacy. Because every day is a new day. Every moment is a new moment. So now you got to go out and show them that I'm a different creature now than I was 5 minutes ago. Because I'm pissed off for greatness. Because if you ain't pissed off for greatness, that means you okay with being mediocre. Ain't no man in here okay with being just basic. So let's do what we do. We ain't got to worry about taking no breaks. Don't worry about taking no breaks.